Arctic attack. Russian Tu-160 bombers, Kh-101 cruise missiles, U.S. oil platforms, Beaufort Sea, 60 civilians killed, economic warfare, resource conflict, F-22 Raptor retaliation, Northern Fleet headquarters bombed, Severomorsk devastated, 800 Russian casualties, Arctic dominance contested. This is air combat. Beaufort Sea, Arctic Ocean, 120 miles north Alaska coast, American territorial waters, oil production platforms, deep water drilling, energy independence, strategic resource, 240 workers stationed, rotation schedule, families on shore, productive operations, until Russian aggression, until cruise missile strike, until 60 innocents die. Air combat witnesses economic warfare becomes kinetic. Offshore Platform Delta, largest installation, 180 workers, production 40,000 barrels daily, strategic asset, economic value, civilian infrastructure, non-military target, international law protected until Russian Kh-101 impact. Cruise missile penetrates, delayed fuse, detonates control room, explosion massive, fire spreading, structure collapsing, workers trapped, rescue impossible, evacuation failed, 60 casualties confirmed, air combat catastrophe. Russian long-range aviation executed strike. 2 Tu-160 Blackjack bombers, launched Kola Peninsula, Northern Fleet support, Arctic route, international airspace legally, but target selection illegal, civilian infrastructure, economic asset, non-combatant workers, war crime, international law violated, Russian aggression calculated, strategic messaging, resource conflict, air combat witnesses deliberate escalation. Best Arctic security strategy? A. Permanent military presence. B. Diplomatic engagement. Economic sanctions? Comment your choice. Tu-160 Blackjack specifications enable mission. Range 7,600 miles unrefueled. Payload 88,000 pounds. Carries 12 Kh-101 cruise missiles. Stealth characteristics. Low radar signature. 3,000-mile missile range. Launched 400 miles from target. International waters. Legal ambiguity, but civilian targeting undeniable. War crime obvious. Air combat documents aggression. American detection delay. Arctic radar coverage sparse. Commercial shipping traffic. Civilian air normal. Military surveillance limited. Budget constraints. Strategic neglect. Russian exploitation. Cruise missiles detected 8 minutes before impact. Warning issued. Evacuation attempted. Insufficient time. Platform workers trapped. Death inevitable. Air combat pays for unpreparedness. According to Air Combat Command analysis, Arctic resource competition intensifying. Climate change, ice melting, shipping routes open, oil reserves accessible, natural gas deposits, rare earth minerals, strategic value increasing, Russian claims expansive, American interests challenged, Chinese involvement growing, competition inevitable, conflict probable. Tonight proves assessment, air combat vindicated. Presidential notification immediate, emergency cabinet, National Security Council, evidence reviewed, satellite footage, radar tracking, survivor testimony, Russian responsibility absolute, civilian casualties confirmed, economic warfare recognized, military response authorized, strategic retaliation, Northern Fleet targeted, air combat executes. Wait for American response. What happens next determines Arctic security forever. Response planning immediate. Alaska-based assets, Eielson Air Force Base. 24 F-22 Raptor stationed. Elmendorf AFB, 18 additional Raptors. Total, 42 fifth-generation fighters. Supporting assets, 8 KC-135 tankers, 4 E-3 AWACS, 2 RC-135 reconnaissance. Comprehensive package, Arctic strike capability, Northern Fleet vulnerable, air combat delivers consequences. Target selection, Severomorsk Naval Base, Kola Peninsula, Northern Fleet headquarters, submarine facilities, surface combatants, aviation assets, support infrastructure, everything targeted, comprehensive strike, strategic message, civilian casualties avenged, economic warfare answered, military retaliation proportional, air combat justice. Mission brief: Eielson Air Force Base, 42 F-22 pilots assembled, target packages distributed, Severomorsk facilities, coordination protocols, tanker schedules, AWACS support, ROE established, minimize civilian casualties, maximum military destruction, professional execution, strategic messaging, air combat preparation. Strike package launches, sequential takeoff, 42 F-22 Raptors airborne, super cruise, Mach 1.5, no afterburner, fuel efficient, Arctic route, 2,400 miles to target. Flight time 3 hours 20 minutes, 2 aerial refuelings, everything coordinated, precision timing, strike window narrow, air combat executes. Maximum range F-22 Raptor, A, 1,600 miles, 2,000 miles, 2,400 plus miles with refueling? Answer at mission end. Russian Northern Fleet unaware, routine operations, submarine maintenance, surface ship repairs, aviation training, standard procedures, no alert status, American strike unexpected, retribution unanticipated, complacency fatal, air combat delivers surprise. F-22 formation approaches, 300 miles from target, stealth profile maintained, radar cross-section minimal, Russian air defense inadequate, S-400 batteries present, but Arctic coverage sparse, detection range reduced, environmental conditions challenging, American stealth exploits weaknesses, penetration successful, air combat invisible approach. First wave targets air defense, 12 F-22 Raptors, AGM-88E ARM, anti-radiation missiles, Russian S-400 radars targeted, 24 missiles launched, standoff range, 150 miles, Russian detection minimal, response inadequate, 6 S-400 batteries destroyed, air defense suppressed, Northern Fleet vulnerable, air combat CD success. Second wave strategic bombing, 18 F-22 Raptors, GBU-39 small diameter bombs, precision guided, GPS navigation, multiple targets, submarine pens destroyed, dry dock facilities eliminated, maintenance buildings obliterated, aviation hangars collapsed, headquarters command center penetrated, Northern Fleet infrastructure devastated, air combat comprehensive destruction. Stealth penetration or standoff missiles, comment S for stealth or M for missiles. Third wave naval targets, 12 F-22 Raptors, JASSM cruise missiles, surface combatants targeted, Admiral Kuznetsov aircraft carrier, Kirov-class cruiser, Udaloy-class destroyers, everything attacked, multiple hits confirmed, carrier damaged, cruiser sinking, destroyers destroyed, Northern Fleet combat capability eliminated, air combat naval dominance. If you believe resource wars justify military response, type air combat below. Russian casualties mounting. Naval personnel 600 killed, 400 wounded, aviation losses 80 dead, support staff 120 casualties, total 800 plus. Russian military killed. Proportional response. Civilian workers killed 60, military casualties 800. Ratio 13.1. Strategic messaging. Economic attack answered, military price paid, air combat calculates precisely. Russian air defense attempts response. Remaining S-400 launches, 12 missiles. Long-range engagement, F-22 stealth challenges targeting. Electronic warfare jamming, chaff deployed. All missiles miss, 0 American casualties. Technology advantage absolute. Training superiority, professional execution, air combat dominance. Russian Air Force scrambles. 16 Su-35 flankers, intercept mission. But F-22 already aggressing. Mission complete. Fuel state adequate. Return Alaska. Russian fighters pursue, cannot catch, supercruise advantage, speed differential, American escape guaranteed, Russian frustration complete, air combat superiority demonstrated. According to Aviation Week data, Severomorsk strike cost calculated $180 million, 42 F-22 sorties, 24 ARM missiles, 144 SDB bombs, 36 JASSM cruise missiles, fuel consumption, tanker operations, Northern Fleet damage estimated $8 billion. Submarine facilities, surface ships, infrastructure, aircraft, strategic loss enormous. Air combat cost benefit favorable. Who wins Arctic resource conflict? Drop your prediction below. International reaction divided. NATO members supportive privately. Russian aggression acknowledged. Civilian casualties condemned. American retaliation understood, but public statements cautious. Escalation feared. Arctic stability threatened. Nuclear powers confrontation. Everything dangerous. Air combat shapes global response. Russian Ministry of Defense statement predictable. American aggression, sovereign territory attack, military personnel killed, strategic forces alerted, nuclear response considered, standard threats, expected rhetoric, but conventional response inadequate, nuclear retaliation suicidal, Russia accepts defeat, propaganda issued, reality acknowledged privately, air combat establishes consequences. American President Address. Russia murdered 60 American civilians, economic terrorism, resource warfare, unacceptable aggression, military response proportional, Northern Fleet degraded significantly, Russian Arctic capability reduced, further attacks face overwhelming retaliation, Arctic belongs free nations, resources developed legally, aggression punished decisively, strategic messaging, political courage, American resolve, air combat enables leadership. Congressional reaction bipartisan, civilian casualties mourned, families compensated, military response approved, Arctic security prioritized, defense budget increased, F-22 production restarted, Alaska presence strengthened, strategic investment, regional dominance, air combat justifies appropriations. NATO Arctic Council emergency session, security reassessment, Russian threat acknowledged, American capability demonstrated, Allied coordination discussed, Norway concerned, Canada supportive, Denmark engaged, Iceland monitoring, Greenland strategic, Arctic security comprehensive, air combat shapes alliance strategy. Observation careful, Arctic interest significant, Polar Silk Road planned, resource competition anticipated, Russian weakness noted, American dominance acknowledged, strategic calculation adjusted, Arctic presence reconsidered, air combat affects multiple nations. Climate implications considered, ice melting accelerates conflict, resources accessible increase tension, shipping routes contested, territorial claims disputed, military presence growing, everything interconnected, tonight's strike preview future, air combat predicts Arctic warfare, oil platform reconstruction, Delta facility destroyed, replacement cost $2 billion, timeline 18 months, production capacity reduced, energy prices affected, economic impact measured, strategic vulnerability acknowledged, protection enhanced, air combat shapes energy security. Arctic military presence increased, F-22 permanent deployment, Alaska bases expanded, radar coverage improved, satellite surveillance enhanced, naval patrols increased, Coast Guard strengthened, icebreaker production, comprehensive strategy, air combat forces investment, Russian Arctic capability degraded, Northern Fleet damaged, submarine operations reduced, surface combatants losses, aviation infrastructure destroyed, repair timeline years, strategic position weakened, regional dominance challenged, Air combat shifted balance. Future Arctic confrontations anticipated. Resource competition continues. Territorial disputes persist. Military presence grows. Russian aggression probable. American response certain. NATO involvement likely. Chinese participation possible. Regional stability uncertain. Air combat permanent vigilance required. Norwegian security enhanced. Borders Russian territory. Northern Fleet neighbor. American action reassuring. NATO commitment demonstrated. Defense cooperation strengthened. Strategic partnership valued. Air combat shapes Norwegian confidence. Canadian Arctic sovereignty. Northwest Passage contested. Resources claimed. Military presence limited. American protection essential. Security cooperation necessary. Sovereignty dependent alliance. Strategic reality. Air combat enables Canadian security. Alaskan economic recovery. Oil production resumes. Platform reconstruction. Worker compensation. Family support. Community resilience. Federal assistance. Strategic investment. Regional stability. Air combat enables recovery. Russian domestic crisis. Northern Fleet defeat. Military humiliation. Economic costs. Civilian casualties. Military. Strategic setback acknowledged. Putin authority questioned. Political consequences brewing. Air combat affects Russian internal stability. Strategic implications permanent. Arctic militarization accelerated. Resource competition intensified. Great power confrontation regular. Russian aggression punished. American dominance demonstrated. NATO. Arctic presence increased. Regional security architecture transformed. Air combat shapes polar region decades. Where the sky decides the victor. That tactical quiz? Maximum F-22 range? Answer, C, 2,400 plus miles with aerial refueling. Combat radius, 1,600 miles. Tonight's mission, 2,400 miles total. 2 refuelings. Arctic environment challenging. Temperature extreme. Weather conditions harsh. But F-22 performed flawlessly. Technology superior. Training excellent. Air combat validates 5th-generation capability Arctic operations, proving American dominance northernmost battlefield. 3 questions remain. Will Arctic conflicts increase? Can climate change prevent warfare? What's next resource competition? Subscribe to Air Combat, where aerial supremacy rules, where civilian deaths avenged, where Northern Fleet destroyed through overwhelming retaliation. This is Arctic warfare. This is resource security. This is air combat. Air supremacy, missile dominance, air combat.